Humanitarian Affairs Minister briefed Parliament on humanitarian situation as floods affect parts of the country. Government and International Organization for Migration unveiled more than $8 million for construction of dikes in Jonglei State. And thousands of returnees continue to arrive in Renk County of Upper Nile State. A very good evening and welcome to SSBC 8 p.m. News, coming to live in the national capital, Juba, with me, Abraham Aken. We thank you all for joining us. We begin our news this evening with Governor of Lagos State, Renk County, describing security situation in the state as stable as economic activities move on well. The governor made these comments on Tuesday in the national capital while meeting the Vice President and Chairperson of the Economic Cluster, Dr. Benjamin Bolmel, on security stability in the state, while commending the governor and communities of Lagos State for dedicated commitment to peace and stability. The Vice President directed Governor Renk County to continue maintaining peace and stability in the state, saying it is a government's key step towards building a peaceful nation to pave way for economic transformation. Western Equatoria State Youth Coordinator has expressed concerns over challenges affecting young people and vulnerable groups in the state. This comes in a meeting with Vice President Dr. Joseph Lagu, whom the Deputy Press Secretary in our office, Dominic Alfred Angasi, highlighted several challenges facing the youth, widows and orphans in Western Equatoria State, including concerns regarding education of orphans and the need for greater support from the government.
Presented a number of issues encountering, or the number of issues facing youth and widows as well as orphans in Western Equatoria State. Some of these challenges include education of orphans in the state, and also there is problem with security, some elements of security, because people were unable to go doing the farming in some parts of the state, and this basically affect the youth and the orphans and widows as well. In fact, Her Excellency the Vice President welcomed the group. She thanked them very much, and she said she has Western Equatoria State in her heart. She even recounted her visit to a number of counties in Western Equatoria State. When she was the then Minister of Agriculture, she described Western Equatoria as the biblical Garden of Eden, in fact. And she said she will do her best at least to address these issues to concerned authorities or stakeholders so that solutions are got into some of these issues, especially the issues to do with the education of young people in Western Equatoria State.
We came here to raise our concern to the office of the Vice President, mostly the young people of Western Equatoria State. Our voice should be heard, and we are here also to congratulate her since she has been appointed since February. So we could not reach her, but finally God has accepted it to us today to come and congratulate her. She's really our leader who unites all South Sudanese, who work for the unity all together.
Students from Mayandit County Association in universities and higher learning institutions in Juba are appealing to the government to coordinate with oil companies to offer them scholarships from oil share allocated to the oil-producing areas to advance their studies. The youth leadership convenes with Vice President for Economic Cluster, Dr. Vice President for challenges facing the student
companies to provide us with jobs and also the internships. We are really appreciating how the oil companies supported us for the last 5 years. We are facing a lot of challenges in the country, but at least we need the oil companies to maintain our support so that it will impact our communities back home. Communities are being affected by flooding. We are only the hope so that when we graduate, we go back.
In Geneva, where South Sudan delegation led by Speaker Jema Nunukumba is participating in an interparliamentary union known by its acronym IPU Assembly, focusing on upholding humanitarian norms and supporting humanitarian action in times of crisis. Addressing the Governing Council meeting in Geneva, Nunukumba reaffirmed South Sudan's commitment to multilateralism and protection of human dignity in times of crisis, and said the IPU remains one of the few enduring platforms for multilateral dialogue and collective reflection, especially as the world faces growing nationalism and humanitarian challenges, noting that South Sudan continues to uphold its obligation under international humanitarian law by hosting refugees from neighboring countries and by ensuring the protection of civilians and the free movement of humanitarian workers across the country.
Dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to address this August Assembly under this year's theme, upholding humanitarian norms and supporting humanitarian action in times of crisis. As the world drifts towards bilateralism and growing nationalism, the Interparliamentary Union remains one of the few enduring fora for multilateral dialogue and collective reflection. It reminds us that the challenges we face, conflict, displacement, hunger, climate shocks, cannot be solved by nations acting alone. The IPU stands a testament to the enduring power of multilateralism and the shared responsibility of parliaments to act as bridges between people and governments. We remain firmly convinced that multilateralism is indispensable. It is the only mechanism through which nations, large or small, can address complex global challenges effectively. Hence, we in South Sudan value our membership within the IPU and other multilateral mechanisms that allow us to streamline our needs with those of our neighbors. The consequences of humanitarian crisis are most acutely felt in vulnerable states, where the fragility of peace undermines development and weakens social cohesion. For countries like South Sudan, where communities are still healing from years of conflict, every humanitarian emergency threatens to reverse our gains, deepen inequalities, and erode public trust. In South Sudan, this theme resonates deeply. We have endured the consequences of conflict, not only domestically but also regionally. Conflicts in neighboring countries like Sudan and DRC, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and climate crises such as floods continue to exacerbate our needs for humanitarian intervention. Currently, South Sudan is hosting over 650,000 refugees from neighboring countries, of which 600,000 are from Sudan. Despite the internal challenges we are facing, South Sudan has accepted its obligation to upholding international humanitarian law and norms by opening its borders to those who need the most protection and support. The President of the Republic of South Sudan, His Excellency General Salva Kiir Mayardit, has always directed our security service and host communities to provide protection to refugees and a free movement to humanitarian and aid workers throughout the country. Therefore, upholding multilateral norms is not an abstract idea for us. Rather, it is a daily necessity for saving lives and maintaining peace and stability. We know from experience that the protection of human life and dignity must always remain at the center of governance and international cooperation. Madam President, dear colleagues, at the National Assembly of South Sudan, we have sought to strengthen our legislative and oversight function to ensure that the values enshrined in international law are reflected in our national legal framework.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Albino Kolatak, has briefed the Transitional National Legislative Assembly on the humanitarian situation in the country and returned. calling on farmers to use the rainy season to cultivate to avoid depending on humanitarian support. Minister also briefed lawmakers on the challenges facing flood-affected areas, especially Jonglei, Upper Nile, Warab, Unity, and Northern Barghazal states. We now go for a break and we will be back with more stories. Please do stay with us. Welcome back from that short break, and in case you have just joined us, this is SSBC 8 p.m. News coming to live in the national capital, Juba, with me, Abraham Ken. Now, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Monday Samaya Kumba, and Governor James Alteb have discussed the general security situation in Western Equatoria State and fostering national unity. Governor Alteb provided a comprehensive report on the current security situation in the state, which he says is relatively calm.
About the situation in Western Equatoria, administratively and security-wise. So the meeting was actually fruitful, and His Excellency, the Minister, convey his greetings to His Majesty, the King of the Azande people, because of the good relationship between
the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs, in collaboration with the Assembly Standing Specialized Committee on Gender, Child and Social Welfare and Religious Affairs, has conducted a forum on pending bills in the Parliament. Authorities in the ministry raised concern over bills in the National Legislative Assembly regarding retarding reform work. In a statement to the media, the ministry's spokesperson Nibany Moyom-Tulba says the minister is fully committed to supporting initiatives for transformation in the country. The committee's chairperson Nyanyang Johnson-Locke says members from the Legislative Assembly have petitioned the minister to intervene on pending activities before the end of this year.
Constitutional Affairs, we've met with members of Parliament, and we were here discussing various different bills that have been pending, and we discussed how we can work together to implement these bills and bring it into action and into place before the end of this year. So we're looking forward to working with them hand in hand, and hopefully some of these changes you will see the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs with the Parliament this year.
The Minister, Dr. Joseph, has really appreciated the move, and he has confirmed to the parliamentarian that this bill, the ministry will try to work hard on it, and he assures us as soon as possible few of them will make it on their way to Parliament, such as gender-based violence. It may come to Parliament before the end of the year, the women empowerment bills and the family empowerment bills. And also the other bills are still at the stage of draft. So we appreciate the Honourable Minister for giving effort on these bills, and as people and representatives, we will really wish to see those bills coming.
A delegation from the National Ministry of Health, headed by Minister Sarah Electoral, is in Western Barakazal State to assess the health facilities, particularly Wow Teaching Hospital. Speaking after meeting the team, Governor Daniel Sharif commended the national government for supporting the state's health sector.
Of this mission is to come to the state and just get updates about the general health status within the state. And specifically, we are going to be visiting the Wow Teaching Hospital, which is under the responsibility of the national government. We are very happy and glad and thankful to the state for the cordial reception that is awarded to us.
ونحن سعيدين جدا بالزيارة، ونحن برضو بنشكر السيدة وزارة الصحة القومية وعلى
The Ministry of Water Resources and Irrigation and the International Organization for Migration (IOM) signed more than $8 million contract for construction of dikes in Jonglei State to prevent flooding. The ministry's Under-Secretary Chair Manyuat John signed on behalf of the government, and the IOM head of operations signed on behalf of the organization. Speaking to the media on Tuesday after signing the document, Chairman Manyuat says the initiative is part of climate resilience project funded by the World Bank. IOM head of operations says there is need to provide durable solutions to addressing challenges facing the flood-affected population in the country.
The contract value is 8.5, which is going to cover infrastructure work in Vor town. I want to seize the chance to appreciate and thank the World Bank Group for the support they have financed RCRP, the Regional Climate Resilient Projects. Without their funding, we could have not done an exercise that we have just concluded today.
And this is in continuation of the ongoing efforts that RCRP is making in South Sudan. And it is also a continuation of IOM's work for providing durable solutions for population that has been affected by climate change, flooding, and displacement. IOM started this work back in 2021 in Bor, and we have done the immediate solutions that were required. But now, building upon that work, it was required that we provide long-term and more durable.
Now, the National Election Commission has engaged stakeholders in a one-day consultative meeting aimed at enhancing the country's electoral processes ahead of the national post-independence election scheduled for December 2026. Discussions emphasized the need for inclusive stakeholders' engagement to advance the electoral processes. SSBC's Akwejbany Marek reports.
The National Elections Commission organized a consultative meeting with key electoral stakeholders, including representatives from political parties, to foster collaboration in the electoral process. Speaking at the event, Kwalmanyang Juk, the chairperson of the National Transitional Committee and the High-Level Standing Committee for the implementation of the revitalized agreement on the resolution of conflict in South Sudan, emphasized the importance of collective responsibility in ensuring effective preparations ahead of the general elections, despite existing challenges.
And we assure you that we do our work so that the elections are done in time. We have to roll out. Stop wasting time, and we must save time. Time lost, and we can simply work so that we compensate the time we lost. This is our commitment, and we will do it. Rest assured, we will go for the elections, we will complete yourself, and you will win, definitely.
Professor Benego Akok Kachwal, the chairperson of the National Election Commissions, reiterate the Commission's commitment to steering the country towards credible elections at the end of the transitional period. He acknowledges concerns raised by the legislators, civil society, women's group, and youth organizations regarding the timely conduct of elections and the need for the citizens to elect leaders of their choice.
And it is your role also, as I said before, those parties to peace agreement, let them sit down and they look for a way forward. We want to say this is an obstacle. Nothing can be done without amending the act. The act. And who does that? It is the parliament.
Darren Nance, the Principal Electoral Affairs Officer for the United Integrated Electoral Assistance Team, calls for greater cooperation among partners to ensure the elections are held on a schedule.
I feel like that is the action in that everyone should be. This was never going to be everything solved in this room today, but I also commend the Elections Commission, commend all of you, commend Mr. Honorable General Mangyang, for staying for the greater part of the last 5 hours to discuss, to hear, noting that much more discussion is needed and actions, most importantly.
The meeting was a platform to ensure updates on electoral arrangements to explore practical solutions to pressing electoral challenges. SSBC,
Still to come, the National Communication Authority, NCA, has organized a consultative forum with stakeholders, mobile network operators and licensed telecommunication companies to addressing critical challenges under the theme, strengthening collaboration and compliance in the ICT sector. We will have that story right here after a short break. Please do stay with us. Welcome back. The National Communication Authority, NCA, has conducted a consultative forum with the stakeholders, mobile network operators and licensed telecommunication companies to addressing critical challenges under the theme, strengthening collaboration and compliance in the ICT sector. This engagement is focused on strengthening sharing experiences in policy updated, discussing compliance frameworks, aligning all stakeholders on upcoming regulatory guidelines and initiatives to ensure steady and reliable ICT services delivery. In his welcoming remarks, the authority's Director for Administration, Dut Achol, says the South Sudan National Communication Authority is mandated to foster transparent and fair innovation through regular dialogue with mobile telecommunication companies.
We talk about rollout plans. It's very important that for us to be included in that plans. Most of the MNOs, not all, they share with us some of the data. And others, they don't. But going forward, we want to request that everybody should share with us their rollout plans. Rollout plans is very important to be able to sit down and discuss. We do have a good understanding of South Sudan, or some of the areas where there is need, needs to be made. It's not just connectivity alone. It could not be, maybe just not even the population demographic at that particular place. There is more to it than just the number of people who will be connected, security or whatever. There's so many aspects to this. So what we are asking is that when you are making your plans, involve us. We'll be able to sit down with you, discuss it in detail, maybe advise you some of the.
Central Equatoria State Governor Rabi Mujung Emmanuel has directed the new leadership of the Juba City Council to work as a team and render services to the public. The governor, who was addressing the swearing-in ceremony of the city mayor and deputies, affirmed his administration full support to the city council to execute its duties. Speaking at the function, Deputy Governor Paulino Lokudu Obede calls on the city council's new leadership to transform the city. The new mayor, Christopher Sarafino Wani, emphasized the need to carry out reforms in Juba City Council to enhance service delivery.
Your Worship, Christopher and your deputies, I just want to tell you that the expectation of the people in Juba City are very high. I wish Juba becomes a second Kigali in terms of cleanness. People want Juba to be clean. The roads inside Juba need to be repaired, to be maintained. And I would like to assure you that you will get every support and also help from my side.
Our city is not having characteristics of a real city. This city still looks like a modern village in some countries. The city goes to sleep at around 10 p.m., which is not happening in the part of the 21st century. You must understand that the responsibility and the service people are looking forward is immense. You need to address certain issues. You need to address oppressing the local business, especially in terms of the taxes. We don't want to see the new leadership of the city council giving directives for the closing of shops if somebody failed to pay the taxes.
On behalf of my colleagues, Your Excellency the Governor, and on my own behalf, I would sincerely like to take this opportunity to thank you for your trust and confidence in appointing us at the helm of this institution. So, Your Excellency the Governor, I want to assure you that with our coming, we're going to make some small changes in the City Council so that the City Council can be able to be responsive, can be able to collect the money that it's supposed to collect, can be able to deliver the services back to the people. We're going to do some small reforms, which is very necessary to be able to allow us to realize the goals and aspirations.
Now, exploring humanitarian situation in the country, VNG, a Dutch international organization, has expressed continued collaboration with the government of Jonglei State to strengthening institutional cooperation in flood management and disaster response. This follows a meeting between Governor Dr. Renk County and the organization's regional representative for Eastern and Southern Africa, focused on urgent solutions to the ongoing floods affecting the 9 counties of the state. During the meeting, Dr. Renk County emphasized the need for a coordinated approach and announced the formation of a state flood management committee. The State Minister of Land, Housing and Public Utilities, Jacob Mayom-Chol, says the flooding has affected communities and infrastructure in Jonglei State.
Jonglei State come together. Then we are reaching out to potential friends and donors, really how to mitigate the impact of flooding. So there's all acknowledged that climate change is real. We have to learn how to cope with it. And I think your visit is part of that mitigation efforts. That has been various skills that we are bringing from Netherlands. VNG represents.
We've been discussing together with the Governor, His Excellency, on how we can institutionalize this collaboration and move on in other areas to work on this flood resilience together with communities that are mostly affected when it comes to the overflow of the river now, but also the flash floods. And I think we discussed also on how we can support in terms of early warning so that communities are better prepared in case of high levels of water in the river. And the final thing that I want to say is that apart from working with international agencies, humanitarian agencies, for us the main point actually to work is with local governments, with national governments, to make sure that structures are in place and that after any project is ending, still the people that need to do the work are capable and can continue the work after this.
Really willing to receive the help to manage our state or the site of flood management committee. And we are
From Jonglei State Capital Board, we now cross over to Renk County in Upper Nile State, where authorities are calling for humanitarian assistance following the influx of returnees from Sudan. Speaking after receiving the returnees, County Commissioner Ding Deng described the general security situation in the area as stable, adding that government is dedicated to providing essential services to the returnees. The representative of Relief and Rehabilitation Commission, Stephen Ilia, confirmed the Commission's commitment to providing the necessary assistance to the returnees. The returnees expressed their gratitude to the government of South Sudan for facilitating their return home.
كان فضلوا في السودان العيال جابوهم الليلة والعدد بتاعهم 71 طفل. دي اللي كان فضلوا في السودان الليلة جابوهم. ودارين برضو نشكر مفوضية شؤون اللاجئين بالنيل الأبيض بالدور الكبير اللي هو قام به، لأنه هو الزول اللي قام عمل تنسيق بيننا وبين ولاية الخرطوم، وطلب مننا إنه يكون في مناديب من المفوضية بتاع الشؤون الإنسانية بتاع المفوضية بتاع شؤون اللاجئين بتاع جنوب السودان، وبرضه مفوضية بتاعت الإغاثة على مستوى بتاعت المقاطعة. فاخترنا 2 مندوب والمناديب ديل فاتوا وهسه وصلوا.
في بعض الأسر ما قدروا يستوفوا إنه يجوا معنا، لكن قدر الأكبر جبناه معنا. فإحنا بنشكر الكوميشنر وبنشكر حكومة النيل الأبيض برضه لمجهود الجبار في استقبالهم لنا وتعميم الوفد مشيتوا من وانتاو لحد ما وصلنا درمان.
أنا حاسة وكده الحاضر يجي راجع من الدين الأشرف ما جبت ولدي ولا جبت حاجة من بيتي.
وأنا ذات فرحان سنجد بلدي ذات عشان هناك جه هنا أنا ما بقدر لي هان.
Back in Juba, where the Director General of Traffic Police, Major General Kon Jonakot, has directed all drivers of public and private vehicles with tinted glasses to remove them. Major General Kon Jonakot issued directives on Tuesday urging traffic police personnel to cooperate with drivers and other road users. He also requested all drivers and vehicle owners to complete insurance procedures and comply with traffic laws to ensure road safety.
زمن عربيته بدون ما يجي الإدارة العامة يغيروا أو يطلعوا قبل ما شرطة المرور يقبض عليه. كلام ده أنا بكرر لعلوا ناس المرور قبضوه. ما تقول لنا دي حملة، ما عندنا حملة. الحملات وقفناها، لكن أننا في تطبيق القانون والمخالفات. أنا ما ممكن أسلم نخلي ناس يمشوا ويخالفوا والقانون ما يجري مجراه. الكلام ده كتب في بالكم. حتى خطر ساكن لو مات بالعربية نحن بنحاسبه. أنا داير أقول أي سواق داخل جوبا بسوق عربية لازم يربط حزام. ليه أنا بتكلم كده؟ طبعا أنتم ما مسؤولين من الحوادث وما بتعرفوا أي حاجة عن الحوادث. لو زول بيعرف حاجة بكون سمع بس قال في عربية صدم، لكن أنا مسؤول من الحوادث وإحصائية بتاع الحوادث دي، وأنا بعرف السبب اللي أنا قلت لكم كده ليه. في ناس لو صدم سواق بيطير من العربية بيمرق، لكن لو رابط حزام ما بتحصل له حاجة. ما تفتكروا أنه الخواجات اللي عملوا العربات عملوا حزام ده ليه شنو؟ عشان يحافظ على الأقل، يعني لو حصل لك حادث يكون.
And that story brings us to the end of our news. From me, Abraham Ken, and the whole team here, we thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.